January 9th, 2019. San Antonio, Texas. The gated community of Anaqua Springs. $1 million homes. Around-the-clock security. Surveillance cameras everywhere you look. People pay a fortune to live here because they believe it's one of the safest places imaginable. Just after 9 o'clock in the morning, a call comes into emergency services. The owner of one of the homes sounds frantic. He tells the dispatcher that his girlfriend has just shot her 2 daughters and then taken her own life. Officers rush to the scene and find the homeowner standing on the manicured lawn outside the mansion. He appears overwhelmed, covering his face with his hands. But almost immediately, responding officers notice something that stands out. There isn't a single tear on his face. Inside the home, on the 2nd floor, detectives discover the bodies of 37-year-old Nicole Olson, 16-year-old Alexa, and 10-year-old London. A handgun is lying beside Nicole. There's just one problem. The weapon doesn't belong to her. It belongs to the same man who is now standing outside, putting on a display of grief. Then something happens that completely changes the direction of the case. The screen of Nicole's phone suddenly lights up. A routine message arrives from a co-worker at the salon. Your client is already here. Think about that for a moment. Would a woman who had supposedly just wiped out her entire family be making plans for her workday that morning and confirming appointments with clients? How did one of the most secure homes in Texas become the scene of such a devastating crime? And why did the only surviving adult offer investigators a fully formed explanation from the very beginning? To answer those questions, we need to find out who exactly came together under this roof and what secrets they had been keeping. To understand how these people ended up living in the same house, we need to go back several decades. What we find are 2 completely different worlds that, under normal circumstances, never would have crossed paths. Let's start with the woman. Nicole Olson was born in 1981 and learned very early what it meant to lose the people closest to her. In 1988, her father passed away from a fatal overdose involving prohibited substances. In 2001, her mother died from heart disease. Life forced Nicole to grow up fast. At 15, she became a mother to her son, Skylar. 2 brief marriages followed. First came James Nobles, then Carlos Montes, a United States Marine. After her divorce from Carlos, she continued raising her older daughter. Later, she entered a relationship with Hector Briviescas, and together they welcomed her younger daughter. Life seemed determined to test this family at every turn. At one point, unpaid child support obligations connected to her first marriage grew to $24,000. Nicole took whatever work she could find. She spent time working the register at a Mexican restaurant, where part of every paycheck was automatically withheld to help cover the debt. Eventually, she trained as a cosmetologist. For the next 10 years, the mother of 2 daughters practically lived at salons by JC. She worked double shifts, triple shifts. She pushed herself to the limit, supporting herself, her son, and her daughters through hard work alone. Every dollar she earned came from long hours, determination, and a refusal to give up, no matter how difficult things became. Now take a closer look at the man who was standing on that lawn that January morning. Charlie Wheeler was born in 1986 into a wealthy family from Fredericksburg, Texas. His parents owned a massive ranch and made millions through oil industry contracts. Charlie dropped out of college during his freshman year and followed in his father's footsteps into professional rodeo. Later, he used his winnings to launch a security company that worked with oil production businesses. By the age of 24, he had successfully sold his first company, started another one, and reached an astonishing level of income, reportedly bringing in around $160,000 a day. Money seemed to solve every problem in his life. His history of run-ins with law enforcement reads like the story of someone who believed the rules simply didn't apply to him. There was an arrest for public intoxication at a country club. Then came a drunk driving incident. According to reports, Wheeler made a mocking gesture toward a police officer shining a flashlight at him and sped away. The officer ended up chasing him on foot. When Wheeler was finally stopped, he refused a breath test and couldn't successfully count backward from 30 to 10. Yet for reasons that remain unclear, the case fell apart. Incidents at hotels followed the same pattern. Arguments, disturbances, a night spent sobering up, and then very little consequence. Every time, the result was almost identical. Charges were dismissed, reduced, or replaced with minor fines. Keep that in mind. For years, this was someone who repeatedly crossed legal boundaries, and the system seemed willing to look the other way. What do you think that does to a person's mindset? Does it create the belief that there are no real consequences? That anything is allowed? That brings us to an obvious question. What could possibly connect the heir to an oil fortune with a hairstylist who had spent her entire life relying on her own hard work? Their paths crossed in 2016. Charlie came across Nicole Olsen's social media profile. At the time, she was helping promote a watch and jewelry brand she had launched with several friends. The millionaire sent her a direct message on Instagram. That simple message turned into conversations. The conversations quickly turned into a date. For their first meeting, Nicole arrived at a resort accompanied by her friend Vanessa. From the beginning, Charlie was persistent. Before long, the relationship started moving at a remarkable pace. In April 2017, Charlie purchased the same mansion in Anaqua Springs that would later become the focus of investigators. The property measured roughly 4,500 square feet and featured a swimming pool, private security, and strict gated access. Not long afterward, Nicole moved in with her daughters. From the outside, it looked as though she had finally achieved financial stability after years of struggle. Charlie offered her the opportunity to quit working entirely and live off his income. Nicole refused. She continued taking shifts at the salon and maintained her own source of income. And honestly, that detail matters. Even with all the money surrounding her, she chose to keep working. It was almost as if she instinctively understood that becoming completely dependent on one person carried risks she wasn't willing to take. So while the mansion, the security gates, and the luxury lifestyle may have suggested stability, Nicole continued building a safety net of her own. The first warning signs showed up pretty quickly. During one professional photo shoot, Nicole arrived with a noticeable bruise under her eye. She tried to cover it with makeup, but it was still visible. When her friend Vanessa asked what happened, Nicole brushed it off. She casually mentioned that she and Charlie had gotten into an argument, then immediately changed the subject. That same summer, the couple celebrated their anniversary at a hotel in Galveston. The trip ended badly. An argument escalated to the point that hotel security stepped in and removed Charlie from the property. Think about how a reasonable person might handle that situation. Most people would gather their belongings and leave. Charlie did that too, but he took it a step further. He packed up his things, grabbed Nicole's luggage, took her cell phone, got in his car, and drove away. He left her completely alone in an unfamiliar city with no way to communicate. Nicole eventually made her way to a friend named Monica. The two talked for 17 straight hours. Nicole cried. She described ongoing humiliation and constant emotional pressure. More importantly, she made a firm statement. "I'm leaving him." At least that was the plan. The very next day, she boarded a flight and returned to the mansion. After that conversation, Monica disappeared from Nicole's life entirely. As time went on, Charlie's control only became more apparent. In January 2018, Nicole and Vanessa went to a basketball game together. While they were out, Charlie repeatedly called Nicole's phone, over and over. Eventually, he demanded that Vanessa get on the line. Then he delivered a chilling comment. "You're lucky I even let her go with you." Later that evening, the two friends headed to a jazz club. The call started again. Charlie had tracked their new location and ordered Nicole to come home immediately. That summer, Vanessa visited the couple at the Anaqua Springs mansion. The two friends were relaxing in the hot tub when Charlie suddenly walked into the backyard, visibly furious. The reason was almost unbelievable. Someone had dropped a piece of pepperoni on the kitchen floor. Charlie ordered Nicole to get out of the water and clean up after her daughters. he did it in a way that seemed intentionally public and degrading. Not long afterward, another argument erupted when the home's audio system malfunctioned. Once again, Charlie blamed everything on Nichols' daughters. The atmosphere became so uncomfortable that Vanessa left just 2 hours after arriving. As she was heading out the door, she looked at Nickel and said something that stuck with her. "You look like a guest in your own house," Nickel quietly nodded. "This is Charlie's house, not mine." Vanessa never visited them again. By that point, Nickel's isolation was nearly complete. Before long, she rarely left the gated community except to go to work, or when Charlie personally approved it. Throughout 2018, tensions inside the mansion continued to build. We don't know exactly what was happening behind those closed doors. What we do know comes from court records. During a 12-month period, patrol units were dispatched to that address 4 separate times. The documents do not reveal what triggered those calls, but they do establish one important fact. Something serious enough to draw law enforcement attention kept happening inside that home. By then, Nickel had become increasingly withdrawn and had almost completely cut herself off from the outside world. What no one realized at the time was that Nickel had already started putting together a real exit plan. About a month before the tragedy, she began actively searching for a new place to live. This wasn't an emotional decision made in the heat of the moment. It was calculated, methodical. She toured rental apartments, compared options, and looked for a place that would work for both her and her daughters. Now let's slow down and examine the timeline of January 9th, 2019. This day is absolutely critical because the events of those final hours directly conflict with the story that would later be presented as the truth. That morning, Nickel checked her email and found a message from the management office of an apartment complex. The unit she had been interested in was finally available. The paperwork could move forward. She could sign the lease. She could start moving her belongings. For the first time in a long time, she had a clear path toward independence. Later in the day, she handled ordinary, everyday tasks. First, she contacted a longtime client and confirmed a salon appointment for the following day. Then, she spoke with her co-worker Bethany about schedules, shifts, and upcoming work plans. At around 9 o'clock that evening, Hector called. As the father of London, he wanted to talk about plans for the future. The next day, a casting event for a popular television talent show was being held in the area, and London had been excited about the opportunity to participate. Nickel and Hector discussed the pros and cons. After talking it through, they decided it might be better to wait a little longer before pursuing the audition. Then, 10-year-old London took the phone herself and happily chatted with her father. Take a second and think about all of that. Does this sound like someone preparing to end her own life just a few hours later? Look at the facts. Nickel was reserving her station at the salon. She was discussing future opportunities for her daughter. She had confirmation that a new apartment was waiting for her. Every hour of the following day was already planned. By all appearances, she had taken concrete steps toward leaving Charlie for good. As Thursday evening continued, everything seemed normal. The atmosphere inside the house appeared calm. Nickel exchanged messages with Vanessa and chatted with several other friends and acquaintances. No one noticed signs of panic. No one noticed despair. Nothing in her messages suggested that anything was seriously wrong. Then, late that night, Charlie came home. According to later statements, that was when a major argument broke out. The calm was gone. The disagreement was significant enough that Charlie would later describe it to investigators as extremely serious. Not long afterward, he started his vehicle and drove out through the gates of the community. According to his original account, he was heading to stay with a friend for the night. And this is where the story begins to raise some difficult questions. He left behind a woman he had supposedly just had a major argument with. He left behind Alexa and London. Then, after putting distance between himself and the mansion, he pulled out his phone. Instead of simply going to sleep or staying with friends, he began searching through his contacts for the phone number of Nickel's brother. And from that moment forward, a chain of strange late-night events begins. a sequence of decisions and actions that even today is difficult to explain through ordinary logic. The surveillance cameras at the community exit quietly capture Wheeler's vehicle as it leaves the property. So yes, Charlie really does drive away. And this is where the story becomes especially interesting, because now we move into the world of digital evidence. Cell phone data and communication towers don't have opinions. They don't forget details. Unlike people, they generally leave a trail that can be reconstructed. Everything we know about the rest of that night comes almost entirely from phones, messages, and digital records. After leaving the community, Charlie doesn't settle in for the night at a friend's house. Instead, he launches into a wave of text messages. He begins sending messages to Nicole, to both daughters, and to Nicole's brother, Justin. The theme remains remarkably consistent. According to Charlie, he is deeply concerned about Nicole's emotional state following their argument. Take a step back and look at that situation from the outside. You have just left the house. You're telling family members that your partner may be experiencing a serious emotional crisis. Alexa and London are still inside the home. If the situation is truly that urgent, why spend the night sending text messages? Most people would either turn the car around and go back immediately, or contact emergency services and request a welfare check. Instead, Charlie continues creating a written record of his concern through text messages. Then a detail appears in the digital timeline that changes the entire perspective. A message arrives on Charlie's phone from Alexa's number. The text reads, "Are you here?" I think she's talking to herself. A frightened face emoji appears at the end of the message. Think carefully about that text. Why would a teenager ask whether the homeowner was inside the house when he had supposedly just left after a major argument? And notice how neatly those words fit into the explanation that would later be offered about Nicole's mental state. Phones record messages. They do not record who was physically holding the device at the moment a message was sent. Technology can show that a text was transmitted. It cannot always identify the person who typed it. As the clock moves closer to 11 o'clock that night, activity shifts to Nicole's phone. Exactly 5 outgoing calls are placed. The first call goes to Charlie's mother. She doesn't answer. The remaining 4 calls are directed to emergency services. Take a moment to consider that. 4 separate attempts are made from Nicole's phone to reach emergency dispatchers. Only one of those calls successfully connects. A dispatcher answers. But there is complete silence on the line. No shouting, no conversation, no whispers, no sounds that clearly explain what is happening. Before the call can be fully traced, the connection is lost. The call ends before operators are able to determine the caller's precise location. No return call is made by dispatch. Morning arrives on January 10th. At 7:30 a.m., Charlie reaches out to Nicole's brother once again. His message reads, "Have you heard from her? Should I call the police?" He waits another hour and a half. Only after 9 o'clock the next morning does his vehicle return to the property. He walks inside and places the call to law enforcement, the same call that opened this entire story. The security cameras at the gate confirmed that he was physically absent from the house during the night. The phones created what appeared to be a perfect digital timeline. Now detectives had to compare that timeline with the physical evidence inside the mansion. And this is where the investigation begins taking turns that many observers found difficult to understand. The scene is processed, the bodies are removed, the case officially moves into the hands of investigators. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar steps in front of reporters. He identifies Wheeler as a person of interest. At the very same time, however, the county medical examiner presents a remarkably definitive conclusion. According to the official finding, the incident involved the deaths of the 2 daughters, followed by Nicole taking her own life. Let's pause there for a moment and apply some basic logic. What evidence supported such a firm conclusion so early in the process? In cases involving firearms, one of the most important forensic questions is whether residue from a discharged weapon can be found on the hands of the person believed to have fired it. Were tests performed on Nicole's hands? Were similar tests conducted on Charlie when he returned the following morning? Authorities never publicly released those results. No document was ever presented to the public showing definitive proof that Nickel had physically fired the weapon. There's another critical detail we need to keep in mind. The firearm was legally registered to Charlie Wheeler. According to records, it was routinely stored in his bedside table and was reportedly kept there without the safety engaged. Naturally, his fingerprints would be expected on that weapon. And because the couple lived together, the presence of his biological traces anywhere inside the bedroom could easily be explained as ordinary daily contact. Now look at the actions of the only surviving adult connected to the scene. Rather than actively assisting investigators and answering questions, Charlie quickly hired attorneys. He declined further cooperation with investigators. But what stands out even more is how he interacted with the families left behind. Just hours earlier, he had been sending message after message expressing concern about Nickel's emotional condition. Now, according to those close to the case, he completely withdrew. He never reached out to Carlos or Hector, the fathers of Alexa and London, to offer condolences. Nothing. No call. No message. No contact at all. Carlos and Hector refused to accept the official explanation without question. Both publicly described Nickel as a devoted mother who, in their view, would never have harmed Alexa or London. They called for a transparent investigation rather than conclusions reached before every question had been answered. The response from authorities sparked even more controversy. Sheriff Javier Salazar held another press conference. Instead of presenting new physical evidence, he unexpectedly shifted the discussion toward personal matters. During the briefing, he suggested that in a final phone conversation, Nickel had raised questions about Hector's paternity. Think about how unusual that was. The county's top law enforcement official was publicly repeating an unverified claim while a grieving father was searching for answers about his 10-year-old daughter. Later, Salazar walked back those comments after no supporting evidence emerged. The incident revealed something important about the direction of the case. Rather than easing concerns, it created new ones. Questions from family members and journalists continued to grow. Access to investigative materials became increasingly limited. New information slowed to a trickle, and Wheeler's status as a person of interest remained frozen in place. No major changes, no public resolution. Which leaves us with a challenge the investigation never fully addressed: to take the digital trail from that night and compare it with the physical realities of what happened inside the house. Now let's place the cell tower records alongside the physical layout of the second floor. We're back on the night of January 9th, 2019. A man steps through the front door of the mansion. By this point, Nickel already has confirmed approval for a new apartment. She no longer depends on anyone else's money. She finally has a way out. An argument begins. A person who had spent years navigating problems through influence, connections, and financial resources is suddenly faced with direct resistance. The system of control that had defined the relationship appears to be breaking down. The confrontation escalates. At some point, gunfire erupts. 3 people collapse to the floor, and all 3 are ultimately found on the same level of the house, not far from one another. And according to the questions that would later surround the case, this is the moment when the scene may have begun taking on a very different significance, because someone would need the facts to fit a particular explanation. Look at the situation through the lens of simple logic. If you're leaving a home because you're genuinely concerned about the unstable behavior of your partner, knowing Alexa and London are still upstairs, would you leave a loaded firearm within easy reach? Most people experiencing real concern would instinctively take the weapon with them, or at least secure it somewhere inaccessible. Yet the firearm remains exactly where it would later become a central piece of the official narrative. Then the phones enter the picture. Who physically unlocked Alexa's device and sent the message about someone talking to herself? If a frightened teenager was truly hiding and urgently typing that text, why were all 3 individuals ultimately found together without any obvious indication of an attempt to flee. A touchscreen doesn't preserve fingerprints on a virtual keyboard. The message exists. The identity of the person who typed it is another question entirely. And that digital trail fits remarkably well with the later explanation that Nickel had suddenly suffered a mental breakdown. Then we come to what may be the most unsettling part of the timeline. Think back to those 4 silent calls placed to emergency services. Were they the final attempts of an injured woman trying to reach help? Or was someone else handling a phone, reviewing call logs, deleting information, and accidentally triggering an emergency call sequence, leaving dispatchers with nothing but silence on the other end? Those questions have fueled debate ever since. At some point, the firearm is found positioned beside Nickel's body, and only after every piece of the scene appears to be in place does a vehicle engine start outside. Moments later, that vehicle passes through the community gates. The surveillance cameras recorded leaving the property compare those two realities for a moment. A person cannot storm out after an argument, drive away, and at the same time be responsible for events that had already unfolded inside the house. Digital evidence is unforgiving when it comes to timelines. The security footage shows Charlie leaving after the critical events had already occurred, not before. From that point on, the activity shifts outside the gated community. Throughout the night, he continues sending message after message, building the image of a worried partner, while inside the mansion, the scene remained unchanged. Eventually, the investigation reaches a standstill. When authorities stop providing answers, families often begin searching for their own. In 2020, Carlos and Hector filed civil lawsuits against the only surviving resident of the mansion. Their claim was straightforward: negligence and reckless conduct that they believed contributed to the deaths of Alexa and London. Their argument focused on the contradictions in Charlie's own account. Even if someone accepts the official version of events, the question remains the same. Charlie repeatedly told others that Nickel was in severe emotional distress. He claimed to be deeply concerned about her behavior. He also knew Alexa and London were inside the home, yet he allegedly left a loaded firearm behind. The families argued that creating such a situation raised serious questions on its own. Law enforcement offered no public response. As frustration grew, the families turned to Project Cold Case, a nonprofit organization that connects families with experienced investigators to review unresolved cases. With official answers becoming harder to obtain, relatives pursued every legal avenue available in an effort to keep the search for the truth alive. The pressure reaches its peak on Thanksgiving, one of the most important family holidays in America. Hector chooses that day to make his frustration public. He organizes a protest outside the police department, demanding transparency and a real review of the physical evidence. But the department does not move. Years have passed, and the case involving 3 bodies inside a secured, gated community still remains officially unresolved. The medical examiner's conclusion about Nickel taking her own life after the deaths of her daughters has never been backed publicly by the kind of forensic proof many people expected to see. And the man whose fingerprints could legally appear throughout that bedroom simply because it was his home remains free. We started this story inside Anaqua Springs, a place built around security cameras, guarded gates, and the promise of protection. That is the bitter irony here. The system worked, just not in the way people imagined. The walls and gates did not protect Nickel, Alexa, and London inside that house. But the cameras did record a convenient exit time. The private setting kept outside witnesses away. And the same security meant to protect residents may have helped create an alibi. That is where the confirmed facts end, behind closed Texas case files. Trust the logic. Check every detail. And never accept convenient coincidences at a crime scene.